Hello and welcome to our celebration of Asian American Pacific Heritage Month. I'm Will Tran. The year 2022 marks the year of the tiger, and according to a lunar calendar, the tiger symbolizes courage, confidence, and strength. Reflecting tiger's resilient spirit, our theme this year is Roaring Back. And among the main cultural events that roared back this year, the Chinese New Year Parade in San Francisco. On Saturday, February 19th, the parade began on Market Street, traveled around Union Square, and passed through Chinatown. This was the first Chinese New Year parade after it was canceled last year because of the pandemic. Hundreds of thousands of people came from the Bay Area and beyond, all with hearts full of wishes for the new year.
Everyone's able to stay healthy and kind of come out of the COVID pandemic, hopefully, and yeah, be safe, be happy.
Really like Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year, Year of the Tiger. It's going to be a good one. And we're coming out of this pandemic.
A healthy and more normal New Year. Yes, that's what we want.
Healthier, more normal, and perhaps safer. More than 2 years into the COVID-19 pandemic, hate crimes, however, continue to target the Asian community. According to the nonprofit Stop AAPI Hate, there have been nearly 11,000 incidents of hate across the country since the start of the pandemic through the end of last year. 6,200 of them were reported last year alone. Verbal harassment was the biggest share of incidents reported, followed by physical assault, and then the deliberate avoidance of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Co-founder Cynthia Choi says stopping hate incidents should involve everyone, regardless of your ethnicity.
And the truth is, hate is on the rise for many groups, not just the API community. And so we do need to continue to speak out and to really ask our lawmakers to invest in our communities, to make sure that we're safe wherever we are, and that this is long-term work. And now more than ever, we need to believe in the possibility of change and to never give up on that realization that we are a multiracial democracy.
Lawmakers, they are responding to calls for help. In April, San Francisco Assemblymember Phil Ting announced a little bit more than $14 million in state grants to fight the rising number of attacks targeting the AAPI community.
We've heard way too many press stories about seniors getting attacked at buses, seniors getting attacked walking the streets, seniors going on their morning walk getting attacked, going to the grocery store getting attacked, and so this has to stop now.
The grant went to many Bay Area organizations offering many services to help members of the AAPI community feel a little bit safer. One of them, Oakland Chinatown Chamber Foundation, led by Carl Chan. Now, he's a staunch advocate for the AAPI community. Chan has been a voice for hate crime victims in the East Bay, especially the elderly. And as KRON4's Philippe Jagal tells us, Chan says his work is just getting started.
Community activist Carl Chan is essentially a full-time volunteer who works part-time as a realtor to provide for his family.
We really need to bring people together.
As president of the Oakland Chinatown Chamber of Commerce, Chan works for free and donates his time to more than a half dozen other organizations as well, pushing for an end to all hate crimes, but especially those targeting elderly members of the Asian American and Pacific Islander community.
People are kind of like almost getting used to it, which is not a good thing.
A year ago, Chan became a victim when he was attacked from behind on a street near Chinatown by a man who was eventually charged for the assault, but not a hate crime. He was convicted but served less than a year of his 3-year sentence. Inspired as a young boy by Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, Chan supports freedom of speech and the equal right to a defense, but was disappointed by the large showing of support his attacker received the day he was sentenced, as they pushed for the man to be treated for a mental illness rather than imprisonment.
And it's okay, I understand people may be caring, but I felt that there was like almost another attack on me.
In the past year, Chan, who immigrated to the Bay Area from Hong Kong in the 70s, has helped organize volunteer safety foot patrols in Chinatown, as well as add surveillance cameras in the area, with the video being used to help solve crimes. He says safer streets will lead to people from all backgrounds feeling more comfortable with one another.
It's about understanding each other, respecting each other, and the approach is how to find unity, working together.
And Chan is committed to continuing the work for his family and yours. Philippe Jadal, KRON4 News.
Coming up, celebrating the first, we introduce you to the first openly LGBT Asian American to be appointed to the San Francisco Superior Court. Plus, a sweet success. A family of Vietnamese refugees found their American dream right here in the Bay Area by baking pastries. We take you inside Sugar Bowl Bakery as we continue our celebration of the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. An Asian American-owned business is celebrating nearly 40 years right here in the Bay Area. Today, the Sugar Bowl Bakery is one of the largest certified minority-owned bakeries in the entire country. KRON4's Ajik Madoon shares the story of their sweet success.
You're looking at some of the most recognizable pastries in the Bay Area. Madeleines, palmiers, and brownie bites, all made by the Sugar Bowl Bakery, an Asian American family-owned business that got its start nearly 40 years ago in San Francisco.
We came here to the United States as Vietnamese refugees in the 1970s.
It was 1979 when Andrew Lee and his 4 brothers left Vietnam looking to restart their lives in the land of opportunity, the United States of America. After surviving the journey, Lee says there were more challenges that he and his siblings had to overcome.
We came here with nothing. We couldn't speak the language, we didn't have any money.
But the Lee family did have a very strong work ethic. He enrolled in the City College of San Francisco, got an English tutor, moved on to San Francisco State University, where he graduated with a degree in business. The Lee brothers and their wives worked odd jobs and decided to pool their resources, saving up about $40,000, and in 1984,
we decided to buy a small coffee shop, bakery, neighborhood coffee shop called Sugar Bowl Bakery at the time in San Francisco.
At the end of that very first day in business, he says they earned $300. That is when the Lees discovered their French-inspired pastry treats were a hit. Here's the story behind the recipe.
In the Lunar New Year's, my sister and my mom usually bake those mini French cake in a fish shape because fish resemble abundance in our culture.
And today, these cakes are produced in abundance.
We make approximately 1 billion pieces a year.
After starting with about 12 workers, mostly family, and relocating to the East Bay, the Sugar Bowl Bakery now has around 600 employees working in their 2 factories in Hayward and Atlanta, Georgia, and is one of the largest certified minority-owned bakeries in America, earning them this special shout-out by then President Barack Obama.
With a lot of hard work and a little luck, the Sugar Bowl Bakery today is a $60 million business. All right?
Well, this is a country of immigrants. Everyone come here from all over the world has the opportunity to make sure that we live a good life. We pursue our American dream. If we work hard, we obey the law, we take care of one another, then we can be successful as any other American who came here before us.
Ajik Madoon, KRON4 News.
She is a chef, a food blogger, and an exercise fanatic. San Francisco native Kathy Fang credits much of her success to her dad, a well-known chef himself. Now she's adding her own spice to her old family recipe. And from Boston to the Bay, a historic debut of San Francisco Ballet's new principal dancer. On this Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, we are spotlighting the firsts. Misa Kuranaga is the first Asian principal ballerina of the San Francisco Ballet. Norman Mineta, who just recently passed away, was the first Asian American mayor of a major Bay Area city. And Judge Roger Chan is the first openly LGBT Asian American to be appointed to the San Francisco Superior Court. KRON4's Amanda Hari spoke with him about his life and his work.
Judge Roger Chan spends his days here in the courtroom. He presides over family, dependency, and juvenile justice cases, helping to give young people a chance to start over.
I think that at the end of the day, what I will be most proud of is the extent to which I may have had a positive impact on somebody's life.
Born in Los Angeles, Judge Chan grew up in diverse cultures. His grandfather was a Chinese immigrant and his mother of Korean descent. He says he grew up a shy kid and hated public speaking. No one in his family expected him to be where he is today.
It kind of all clicked together in law school, and I found this area of law that really felt like an opportunity to make a difference.
That area is working with juveniles. Judge Chan launched his career in law after making his way to the Bay Area for college, attending UC Berkeley and then UC Hastings College of Law.
There is a responsibility for everyone involved in touching that young person's life to be a responsible adult, to be a role model, to provide guidance.
Judge Chan started out as a public defender in San Francisco, then in Alameda. In 2009, he started the East Bay Children's Law Offices in Alameda. In 2016, he was appointed to the Superior Court by then Governor Jerry Brown.
I think being the first out gay Asian American on the court is a tremendous honor and a responsibility to the communities. I think the court system, the judiciary, is stronger when the people who come to court see that the judges look like them.
Judge Chan says he was lucky enough to have someone to look up to, the first Chinese American judge in the Bay Area, Justice Harry Lowe.
Justice Lowe was a pioneer for me as an Asian American role model, and he was actually at my swearing-in ceremony when I became a judge. But I recognize that I stand on the shoulders of other people who created opportunity for me.
Judge Chan says he always remains neutral on the bench, but he thinks his experiences as a public defender and his cultural background helps him to be a better judge.
I think that diversity of experience maybe allows me to see something that someone else might not see. It's really important that people who come to court feel like they've been listened to, they've been seen.
Judge Chan says he strives to treat everyone who comes into the court with dignity and respect.
I'm grateful to the community that I serve. I feel very fortunate with where I am in my life.
Amanda Harry, KRON4 News.
The San Francisco Ballet is starting a new chapter with a new dancer. Misa Koranaga is the first Asian to be named the company's principal dancer in its nearly 90-year history. Misa started ballet when she was just 7 years old. She then spent the last 16 years with Boston Ballet, also as their first Asian principal ballerina. Misa says she has been fortunate so far to have played all of her favorite roles regardless of her background. She played the Sugar Plum Fairy in The Nutcracker, Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, and Cinderella, but she still had to work a lot harder than many of her colleagues.
I have a typical Asian body, so I'm very short and not the most ideal ballet body, so I had to work extra hard to make sure that I look long and take up space, and even still now, every day I work on my line to make sure that I look great from every angle.
Misa will take the stage in San Francisco starting this December in The Nutcracker. More on Norma Mineta. The first Asian American to serve as San Jose's mayor died on May 3rd. He was 90 years old. Mineta was born in San Jose and was beloved right here in the Bay Area. He served as San Jose mayor from 1971 to 1975. The San Jose airport actually bears his name. The name change came in 2001. Nationally, he was likely best known for serving as the Secretary of Transportation under George W. Bush during the 9/11 attacks. Coming up, when the East and the West collide, how a Bay Area choreographer is mixing Asian culture into the world of ballet. From principal dancer to choreographer, a longtime professional ballet dancer continues to pave the way for the next generation of dancers. KRON4's Gail Long introduces us to Michael Lowe.
Michael Lowe is helping these dancers prepare for their big competition.
Okay, so let's get our shoes on for butterfly.
Born in Oakland and raised in Alameda, Lo is a fixture in the Bay Area ballet community.
It's the impulse that you have to in-sync in.
At a young age, he was an athlete. He played football in this field at Encino High School in Alameda and was encouraged to try ballet to increase strength and coordination in sports.
The reason why I switched is because I'm a lover of music, and also the sort of the artistic and the creative side. Everybody know what they're doing.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Do they know their counts?
Yes. That interest leading to a successful career in dance. Lo spent 3 decades performing with the Oakland Ballet as principal dancer.
Count, Bethany, count.
In retirement, Lo choreographs Asian cultural dances.
As a dancer, I danced roles that were Asian in nature, but mostly they were of like a caricature more than real character development. And I wanted to see if I can have a voice and do a different route. So I choreographed a version of The Emperor and the Nightingale, where it was the first time we used, worked with a martial artist, and we did martial arts.
Now serving as the artistic director of Menlo Ballet in Menlo Park, which launched early 2011. He is helping the next generation of dancers take center stage.
Freeze! I feel just really fortunate that I'm able to share that my art or something to say and to reach people.
Yao Ong, KRON4 News.
The House of Nanking is a real fixture in San Francisco's Chinatown. Owner and chef Peter Fang, well, he's been serving up traditional cuisine more than 3 decades. But as our Vicki Liviakis shows us in this special edition of Dine and Dish, the family-run business now has the next generation adding some of her own very special spices.
Cooking is a way of life for Peter Fang and his daughter Kathy.
Growing up, my father's first restaurant, House of Nanking in San Francisco, was really my home away from home.
Kathy pretty much grew up at the restaurant where she learned how to cook for herself, and that passion caught fire.
And I want to kind of reinvent dishes that my dad has taught me.
She's got a food blog and healthy eating YouTube channel, as well as a docu-series on the back burner.
I've also appeared in multiple television shows, such as Guys Grocery Games on Food Network, and I recently also took title to Chopped, which I won.
Although her folks discouraged her from going into the family biz, Kathy opened up Fang, where the focus is updated Chinese food.
For me, I want to be able to share my heritage. I want to share my love for the food that I grew up eating, but I also don't want to forget that there's so many other great cuisines that I've been exposed to, that I've been lucky to grow around, and how I'm able to take all of that and fuse it with, something that I have very close to my heart.
Dad and daughter do like to compete. We're back in the kitchen with them.
We'll have to see if you approve of this.
The dish?
My dad and I are making congee today.
Peter's is conventional with 1,000-year-old egg.
It's very old.
1,000-year egg?
It's very traditional.
I am making a modern version. It is using day-old rice and some fresh vegetables, a vegetable broth. It's been fortified with some egg, and I add some secret stuff to it that'll wow my dad. So I'm gonna add a little crunch. That's gonna go into my congee.
But me putting a raw ginger on the top of your...
He's stepping up his game.
Add some steamed fish, and it's time to dine and dish. The result? Thumbs up by both chefs.
Very interesting, very good.
Whoa.
And that could be the Fang family secret of healthy competition in the kitchen and mutual appreciation at the dining table.
Yes, I learn from you now.
Well, I am always learning from you every single day, so this was very nice.
You have said daughter learning to the father, now the father has to be learning from the daughter.
In San Francisco, Vicki Liviakis, KRON4 News.
And that does it for our special. Thank you for joining us and celebrating this year's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. You can always re-watch this special in its entirety on our website, KRON4.com. Good night.